Like every aspect of life, the sports industry, worth globally more than 430 billion euros, has been profoundly affected by the coronavirus pandemic. It's had a major impact on the vast majority of high-level athletes who have been unable to compete or train due to lockdown restrictions. The crisis has forced many of them to rethink their careers and redefine their professional futures and goals.
At the beginning, it was tough, mentally, to train every day in a garage on a treadmill. For an outdoor athlete like myself, who trains every day of the year outside, under no matter what the weather conditions, it was tough.
I'd compare it to an injury for an athlete, because with an injury at first, we're in denial a bit. At the beginning, we're sad or even angry. And then we have to accept it. And above all, do everything we can to get used to the new situation.
There's no doubt the moment I felt worst was when there was all the indecision about the Olympic Games. When we didn't know if they were going to be held or if they were going to be postponed and for how long they would be postponed. At that moment it felt as if the rug was being pulled from under our feet.
Portuguese sprint canoeist Fernando Pimenta now training for the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. French triathlete Jean Collonge, winner of several Ironman events. And Italian ski mountaineering and trail running star David Magnini. 3 athletes have had their promising careers put on hold by the coronavirus crisis. Makis Chamalidis is a Paris-based psychologist.
Indeed, it's a moment of uncertainty, with no real end in sight. The training and competition calendar have been overturned, and it's been a challenge to adapt. We've seen athletes who've managed to do this and get organised, but then there's others who have lost their bearings and had a little more difficulty staying focused.
Niche sports that get less media attention have been hit harder financially. Half of all companies in the sports sector have declared revenue losses from between 50 to 90%.
When someone has 20 or 30,000 euros to live on in order to do a sport, it's not at all the same thing as a professional football player, with the incomes that we all know. But when the dream is strong, when we absolutely want to go to the Olympics, there is always a way.
Most contracts, notably with sponsors, are bonus-driven. When we achieve certain goals, we profit from that. If we don't compete, there aren't these set goals, and so we don't earn anything. I mean, it's very complicated. Of course, we'll suffer a big cut just because of that.
The
cancellation of all competitions was compulsory to ensure everyone's safety, but clearly it's had a negative impact on athletes.
There's been no prize money from races, and it's also meant a big loss in terms of not being in the media spotlight. There was a moment when I saw that a lot of companies weren't going to be able to hold on, that they would be forced to stop. I thought that might be the case for the brands that support me.
My family has been running a specialized sports store for ski mountaineering and trail running for years. And
the lockdown, which lasted more than 2 months during the peak of the skiing season, has had a really negative effect on the business's finances. When you do a sport like triathlon or one that gets less media attention, it's a good idea to have other strings to your bow so you don't just suddenly stop. And I also think psychologically it's good to be able to say to yourself, sport's not the only thing I'm capable of doing.
When not doing triathlon, Jean works as a translator. Fortunately, there are some positive signs she won't have to put her sporting dreams on hold. A recent survey by the European Sponsorship Association showed despite the crisis, 72% of brands still plan to honor their commitments.
I think there's a lot of work still to be done to come to terms with what's happened, to accept reality. It's almost a bereavement process, accepting what wasn't foreseen and knowing that one must do something else. That's the moment when someone calls upon their sporting intelligence, on experience, to achieve an objective.
I've tried to focus on new challenges, to create personal projects to keep busy throughout the summer, so I'm ready for the next winter season.
Let's use this extra time we have, this extra year, to try to improve, if possible, even a little bit.
If there are no races, I'm going to think about where I can progress, and I'll set myself those goals. And I'm also going to work on my weaknesses to try and progress and become better and be ready for 2021. I wonder if this crisis will totally change things. Will we learn from it? Will our way of life be different? It's a question I ask myself and I can't seem to find an answer.
I think it will not only be good for us, the athletes, but also for the population as a whole. It forces us to face our fears, to say there's no time to lose. We have to be happy today because tomorrow is uncertain.
Generally, all over the world, relationships between people will change, as will events and gatherings. But that's not going to alter the desire and the passion of athletes to do what we love most, which is to run and experience nature in 360 degrees.